Okay, a big security breach from Baramulla Jail. We're hearing that 20 cell phones have been recovered from the inmates after there was a raid that was conducted by the police. In fact, we're showing you the visuals of those cell phones. Just take a look at the number of mobile phones that have been recovered during the raid. The sub-jail mainly houses terrorists and a few notorious separatists who have been accused of, stoking unrest in the valley. According to sources, the cell phones were found during a mass joint search operation that was conducted by the Baramulla police last night. The Baramulla police received a tip-off about incriminating material, including unauthorized cell phones being used inside the jail premises, and a massive recovery there by the jail authorities. And Shuja ul Haq joins us for more on this. Shuja, this is a massive recovery by the police, on the tip-off there. Tell us a little bit more about this raid. When did this happen and who all were part of this massive raid?
Well, Avantika, what we have been told by the police is that they got information about, such incriminating material inside the jail. And that's when they formed a team and went inside the jail, started searching. All of it happened, yesterday night. Towards the end of the searches, what shocked them was that they found 20 cell phones and also some other electronic equipment which was recovered from the inmates. Now, this is a sub-jail in Baramulla, and a lot of people are there, as inmates from various backgrounds. The police is saying that it is a very alarming, thing that has happened, and they are investigating and trying to find out who was responsible for this huge lapse. They're also saying that some of
that
the
raises
staff,
few questions as well, isn't it, Shuja? One is talking about the enormity of the situation and about, the recovery of 20 cell phones from inside the premises of the Baramulla jail. But questions need to be asked from the authorities as well, that why were they caught napping? Why were routine checks, not put in place on earlier occasions?
Absolutely. Why weren't there routine checks that were carried out? And second, who are the people who facilitated it? I mean, this could have been done without the hand of the insider staff, security staff, which are posted there. So these will be important questions that the investigators will look into. They've already registered a case, and as I was pointing out, some of the jail officials are already being questioned in this regard.
Okay, we also have with us RSN Singh, a defense expert with us. Sir, good afternoon. Thanks so much for speaking to us. We're just showing the visuals of those 20 cell phones, all of that that has been recovered from the possession of jail inmates. I'm just wondering that this recovery happened after a massive raid. Why is it that regular checks or, routine checks are not put in place?
J&K, the jail administration is, I suppose, heavily infiltrated, especially with jails which are in the valley. It's an open secret. But the fact of the matter is that I remember this entire, jihadi industry has a very important component, that is the militants lodged in jail or the terrorists lodged in jail. And, mobile phones are an important instrument of, jihadi warfare, especially in, passing information and mobilizing stone pelters. And you will see, this phenomenon of flash mobs. It's most effective within the valley, and in the last few, operations we have seen, that how these flash mob of stone pelters, how they have been trying to, distract the security forces,
right?
By opening, another front, and this we have seen in last couple of.
But the recovery, sir, of these 20 cell phones from the possession of jail inmates couldn't have really happened overnight, isn't it? I mean, there has to be an involvement of the jail staff. There could be, involvement of other officials as well.
No, you are absolutely right. That's why I said that it's very heavily infiltrated. They're subverted. Like other organs in the state, government organs, this too is, subverted. So therefore, you are absolutely right that in an area where there is so much of so much consumed by terror.
True.
I suppose there should be an extra alert on these matters, but this is a what I should say, willing omission,
right?
Willful omission. Huh?
All right, Mr. Arun Singh, thanks so much for speaking to us. Shuja, I'll just request you to stay on with us. Some more breaking news coming in at this hour. And we have news of an encounter going on in Handwara between terrorists and security forces. That encounter that has now entered into its second day, with para-commandos being deployed and also carrying on the search operations in the area. Locals have said that they could see and also hear army helicopters flying in the area since the wee hours. An unidentified terrorist has also been killed yesterday. The operation was suspended late last evening but has resumed once again today morning. Shuja Ul Haq continues to remain with us. So we hear that after a brief suspension, the operation has resumed. Combing operations, in fact, presently are underway. Shuja, what's the latest?
Well, that's right. This encounter has been going on for the last 2 days in Handwara forests of Handwara.
Okay, we'll just fix that audio there with India Today's Shuja Ul Haq. But that's the latest bit of news coming in there on this encounter that has been going on for 2 days now. Today being the second day. This is an encounter that started late last evening. We hear that a terrorist has also been killed, an unidentified terrorist. Combing operations presently are underway. This entire operation was suspended for some time, but it has resumed now. We're just waiting for more details. Para-commandos also being deployed in the area. A few eyewitnesses spotted a few army helicopters as well. The gunfight had started on Tuesday after forces launched searches in the area following a tip-off about the presence of a few terrorists. Okay, a fierce encounter, that began yesterday. We're still waiting for more inputs, whether the gunfight is presently still on, because we do know that the combing operation is presently underway. One terrorist, we hear, has been gunned down, one unidentified terrorist, but there is news of the para-commandos resuming the search operation. This entire operation is going on in Handwara forest area. This is in Handwara in North Kashmir's Kupwara district, and the mission is on right now to flush out the hiding militants. The combing operation that presently is underway. The entire operation, in fact, was put on hold for some time last evening, but the operation now being resumed. Shuja Ul Haq is back with us. Shuja, just give us more details. We hear that the combing operation presently is underway, but any reports of the gunfight still on?
Well, Avantika, as of now, what we've been given to understand is that searches and combing are being carried out in the entire area. Remember, this is the forest area of Handwara in Handwara. They are very densely forested zones, and this is not the first time that such encounters have taken place in this particular forest. In fact, these areas are very near to line of control. And a lot of times what happens is that after the infiltration, militants who have crossed over from other side of the line of control are in these forests. They wait there before they find their way into the mainland Kashmir. And the anti-infiltration grid, seems to be very particular about combing these areas completely before declaring them safe. Yesterday, like you were pointing out, one body was found near the forest, and the army said that he was one of the infiltrators, and that's why they cannot sort of rule out presence of others, and that's exactly why it is important to comb and sanitize the entire area.
Absolutely. And, there was also news of a few army choppers flying in the area. Why did that happen? Is that the norm? Is that usually the practice, or is it only in this particular case?
Well, in operations such as these, where the ground troops are involved in places where there is dense the forests are involved. The army generally does use helicopters particularly for surveillance purpose to track the movement of infiltrators or militants, from above. So it does seem that this is in connection with the same that these helicopters were used.
Right.
Locals did report that choppers were seen flying around in these areas.
Right. Shuja, we also have the retired Brigadier V. Mahalingam, defense analyst, with us now on the broadcast. Sir, good afternoon. Thanks so much for speaking to us. Two very important bits of news coming in. A raid that took place in Baramulla Jail premises in which 20 cell phones were recovered, and an encounter that was on in Handwara with one unidentified terrorist having been gunned down. Your response to these two developing stories right now?
See, this sort of terror activities and cross-border activities from across the border has been the order of the day. And as far as this particular Handwara incident is concerned, I am not fully aware as to what exactly has happened. But nevertheless, I can tell you it is an effort by Pakistan to sort of stitch up what exactly is happening at the moment, especially after Donald Trump came out and said totally something against Pakistan and sort of asked Pakistan to dismantle its terror outfits. That exactly is perhaps happening, and this is probably a message which Pakistan is trying to send to both India as well as Pakistan, as well as the United States.
Right, absolutely. So, we're getting to see the visuals of this encounter. The operation, in fact, was suspended late last evening but has resumed. And, sir, in a scenario like this, when combing operations is still going on, we believe that this is a very densely forested area. Would that make it even more difficult for the forces to, try and trace the absconding terrorists?
Absolutely. When you have a densely forested area, it becomes so much more difficult, firstly, to search, and secondly, to protect yourself. Because in a dense forest, people, the terrorists can hide in places, and from there they can open fire and create a problem for you. And secondly, when there is a dense forest, it is very easy for the terrorists to get away from the place and escape out of the area where it has been caught. Especially if you have a forest confined to a certain area where it is open beyond a certain point, the terrorists would always be attempting to reach that point and from there quickly get out. Under such circumstances, only you employ helicopters, especially to search the area, keep the area under surveillance, and warn the troops in case the terrorists are moving away from the area.
All right, Brigadier Mahalingam, thank you so much for joining us. Shuja, thanks so much for also getting us the latest updates on the encounter that is taking place presently, with the combing operations very much on. Meanwhile, after the United States declared Pakistan a safe haven for terrorists, rattled Pakistan has resorted to playing the victim card. Pakistan has gone on the defensive, even going as far as claiming that no other country has done more than them to combat terror. The Pakistan Foreign Office adding, and I quote, "No country in the world has suffered more than Pakistan because of terrorism, often from outside the country." Pakistan has also resorted to raising the Kashmir bogey yet again. The statement claims that a non-resolution of the Jammu and Kashmir dispute remains the primary obstacle to peace and stability in the region. Pakistan goes on to add that the United States policy statement ignores the enormous sacrifices rendered by Pakistan in this continuing effort. Okay, so that's Pakistan's claim. Let's listen into what the US President Donald Trump had to say about Pakistan's tacit support to terror.
Pakistan often gives safe haven to agents of chaos, violence, and terror. The threat is worse because Pakistan and India are two nuclear-armed states whose tense relations threaten to spiral into conflict, and that could happen. We can no longer be silent about Pakistan's safe havens for terrorist organizations, the Taliban, and other groups that pose a threat to the region and beyond. Pakistan has much to gain from partnering with our effort in Afghanistan. It has much to lose by continuing to harbor criminals and terrorists.